Welcome to the show, everybody. Happy game day on this Thursday morning. Eagles Vikings tonight, 8:15, South Philadelphia, prime time Thursday night football. TFN is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. Oh, and the Phillies lost 3 of 4 of the Braves. So that sucked, and yesterday's game sucked, and after not being able to get more runs in that first inning, well, that sucked. But the first thing I thought of this morning when I woke up was this. We're going to have Adam Caplan on the show today. Very excited to talk to our old friend Adam Caplan about all things Eagles. We talked to him before the injury report came out, and after the injury report came out, it was kind of exactly as he predicted. It was not very good. Reed Blankenship, out. James Bradbury, out. Kenny Gainwell, out. Fletcher Cox, limited at practice yesterday. So he was questionable. He's listed as questionable going into tonight's primetime action. Now, you already know Nakobe Dean is out for, he's been placed on IR, so he's going to miss at least the next 4 games. So that's just a hoot. All right. And I know a lot of people don't really throw a lot of respect. They throw more shade than anything at Kirk Cousins. I respect him as a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He is not a terrible quarterback, but he can be made to look terrible. And I'm going to give you the 5 things that I'm going to be most concerned about going into this game coming up in a minute. And one of them that makes me feel good about the fact that the Eagles will win this game is Kirk Cousins. That's one of the things that actually makes me feel really good about this game. And I respect him. I think he's a good quarterback. But I think in this game, in this matchup, and I think you know where I'm going to go with this, he's not going to be very good. So we'll talk about that, of course, as the show goes on today. The line moved minimally since all the injuries have been. Now, usually it's a quarterback that'll be the only one that really impacts the line as to what's going to happen in a game, betting-wise. The Eagles yesterday, some websites before the injury report came out had him at 6.5, and it dropped to like 6. I saw one that was 5.5. That was it. So minimal. Without Blankenship, and you're going to have Sidney Brown out there. You're obviously going to have Justin Evans. You're going to have Terrell Edmonds. Those are going to be your starting safeties, and then Josh Jobe is going to be a starting corner. We'll let you hear about from Sean Desai about what he had to say about Josh Jobe. And really the quarterback position in general when going into this game, because you're going to be facing a good wide receiving core, 2 guys that can obviously go up and get the football. So we're going to talk about that and Josh Jobe, and we're going to talk about Darius Slay and Sean Desai. Talked about both Josh Jobe and Darius Slay and what their roles could be in this game and his confidence level in Josh Jobe getting a start at corner. What could go wrong? Talk about all that on today's program. I want to start it off with your beloved Philadelphia Phillies, though, because yesterday there were some issues. Yesterday there was some problems. I was just begging for a split. That's it. I just wanted a split. I didn't need a series win. Would have been nice, but I wasn't expecting it by any means. To see the Braves celebrate, and that was the last thing I saw in sports yesterday. See the Braves celebrate, other than the standings. That is just a horrid taste in any Philadelphia fan's mouth. And to see Ronald Acuna Jr. out there on the diamond at Citizens Bank Park, wave it, come on, bring it on, wave, boo, 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 more, let me hear it. God, that rubbed me the wrong way. And I think it rubbed all of Philadelphia the wrong way. They asked Kyle Schwarber about it after the game, and he was just like, yeah, they're a good team. They've been doing great all year. I love his mentality. That did not make me feel good. It did not sit well with me. And I know I pointed out yesterday that the Phillies had this horrible rut that they went into last year, and they lost 5 games in a row late in the season. They only won 4 of their last 12 games. And still held on just enough to sneak into the playoffs and then make it to a World Series. So I'll ask the Phillies to just go ahead and not sneak into the playoffs this time around. I'll ask the Phillies to, give me a little bit more reason to believe that they're going to have a better postseason than the reason they gave us last year. Because last year they didn't give us a good reason to have a good postseason. Until they had that 6-run, 9th inning. I wasn't feeling that good about it. And then magic happened, and they went on this incredible run. How about this? How about you still give me that incredible run, but you give me a little bit more heads up that you're bound for an incredible run? Because the Cubs, one of the hottest teams in baseball, as we've talked about many times, just lost 2 games yesterday. And that leaves the wild card standings with the Phillies still a game and a half up on the Cubs for the top wild card spot. Phillies are 3.5 games into that wild card spot. The Cubs are 2 games into a wild card spot, and the Reds occupy the third spot, and they're now tied with the Diamondbacks. So the Reds and Diamondbacks are tied for the third and final wild card spot, with the edge going to the Reds, and the Giants and Marlins are a half game out. So it is a all-out battle in the final 3 weeks of the season. When it comes to the Giants, the Marlins, the Diamondbacks, and the Reds, all within either in or a half game within each other for that third and final wild card spot. It's going to come down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to come down to the wire. But the Cubs have been red hot, but they lost 2 games yesterday. So let's hope that they hit a little bit of a wall. But when it comes to this Phillies team, I need something here. I need something. You're going out to face the Cardinals for 3. Then you go back and you face the Braves again for another 3. And who knows, maybe with the division locked up, maybe some guys will get rested. I don't know. All I hope is the team that they face in Atlanta is not the same team that they just faced here in Philadelphia. Hopefully, over the next 3-4 games, they'll be like, oh, maybe some guys should get some time off for the postseason. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm grasping at straws, but I can at least hope, right? So here's the deal. I wasn't expecting a series win. I don't think anyone was expecting a series win against the Braves. The Phillies had the Braves on the ropes a couple of times. They should have at least had a split in this series, and that just wasn't what wasn't meant to be. You had horrible mistakes made by this team. The one that really jumps out to mind is JT Realmuto at the plate, striking out on 3 pitches with runners at first and second with an opportunity to win the ball game. Nick Castellanos grounding in that double play 2 days ago. That was rough. That was having them on the ropes. Yeah, the best team in baseball on the ropes, and you failed to capitalize on opportunities. Yesterday, Spencer Strider coming into the game. We told you he gave up 10 runs in his last 2 starts. Maybe you have an opportunity to get to him again here in the first inning of yesterday's game. You failed to capitalize on that opportunity. You got 1 run out of it. 1 run. Austin Riley squared up against Christopher Sanchez, who gave you he allowed 4 runs, so you can't call it a great start, but he again gave you a chance to win. He spelled your bullpen, gave you 7 1/3, never pitched in the 8th inning before. When he closed out the 6th inning, I think he had a 7-pitch inning in that 6th inning. When he closed it out, I was like, will they dare? Will they dare allow Christopher Sanchez to come out for a 7th inning? I think he was only at 74 pitches at that point. I was like, oh, no, they're afraid his arm's going to fall off, and they're not going to let him pitch. And they let him pitch. It was great. And he came out there, and he got through the 7th inning. And then they brought him out for the 8th inning. And he got 1 out on Matt Olson on 2 pitches. And then after that, they went to the bullpen. But still, he spelled your bullpen. That was a sight for sore eyes when it came to this team. Yeah, 6th inning. He got through Ozuna, he got through Arcia, and then he got through Murphy. Murphy had that line out to Bryson Stott, who had a great game defensively. Had a great game in general. He drove in the only run, and then he came up with 2 great plays. Had that leaping grab on Murphy there in the 6th inning. That ball was hitting the screws. Though Marcell Ozuna double off the top of the wall in right field. That was part of that 3rd inning, I believe it was. Yeah. Make sure I have that right. No, it was the 4th inning, part of the 4th inning. He led off with that double to right field just off the top of the wall. Then Arcia came out and grounded out the 3rd. Murphy came up, grounded out on that nice play by Turner at shortstop. And then Pilar came up and he hit that double. But Ozuna's double, and that was like off the end of the bat. It was one of those things that was like barely a hit, but it was a double, and he ended up scoring, of course. On the Murphy line drive, in that 6th inning, that was hit on the screws. And then Bryson Stott just came out of nowhere, leapt through the air, and made that snag, which was great to prevent any rally getting started in that inning. So that was great. But it was just a rough game to watch offensively for this team. because he had opportunities trying to make some things happen, make some things happen, and unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. Stott had another great grab in that 7th inning. There was a little bit of a threat starting up there by the Braves. Austin Riley ended up fouling out in foul territory behind the first base bag, well behind the first base bag, going into the crowd, and Bryson Stott just went into that slide and made that catch to get done with that inning. And then the Phillies just couldn't get anything going. 7th inning, in the bottom of that 7th inning, Castellanos got a one-out single. Couldn't do anything with that. 9th inning, at least they didn't tease us. I know I was waiting for it, too. I was waiting for the Phillies to tease us with something stupid. And it just never happened. They just lost 4-1. They made it easy for us. After the game, Rob Thompson just has this aura about him. He has this attitude about him. It's just like, everything's okay. Everything's going to be fine. The first inning, he did get on. I mean, to get on the team is weird, but he said after the game, like basically that was their opportunity. When you have opportunities like that against a good pitcher, regardless of how he's pitching over his last 2 games, and he's for the most part, other than last year, had your number. You have that opportunity with Schwarber leading off with a walk. Harper gets on base with a 1-out walk. You got 2 runners on. You want a big hit from Bohm, Stott, Marsh, anyone, and it just didn't happen. And Real Muto was not in the game yesterday. Garrett Stubbs was your catcher yesterday. And they had an opportunity to do more damage in that first inning, and then they just didn't. And they wasted yet another start. I was looking at it last night. After that 6th inning, I was like, how many starts have we seen from Christopher Sanchez this year where he's gone into the 7th inning? And I went back and I looked, and it's like the vast majority of his starts, he goes at least 5 innings. At least 5 innings. He'll go 6. He's got 6 innings a number of times, like 8 times, 6 times this year. And then he barely allows 2 runs. Like every single start is a chance to win. And this one, 7 1/3 from Christopher Sanchez. 7 1/3, 4 runs. That still gives you a chance to win. It's not great. It's not his best game, but it's still pretty damn good, especially for a guy who's a fringe starter in this rotation. Since he has come into your rotation, he's been your most consistent pitcher. Like that's insane to me. Like Christopher Sanchez is going to start a playoff game for this team, assuming they make it past the wild card round of the playoffs. But like that's not a crazy belief. I thought that would be bonkers when he joined this lineup or joined this rotation in the Tampa Bay Rays series. That's insane. You look at Aaron Nola, you look at Zach Wheeler, you look at Ranger Suarez, Taijuan Walker. I mean, I know Taijuan Walker has stacked wins this year, but he consistently gets to that 6th or 7th inning. Consistently gets to that 6th inning. He has a chance to win a game, and the Phillies will score runs for him. Christopher Sanchez has been the opposite of that. He has been the anti-Taijuan Walker, and it's just wild to think about. When you have names like Nola and Wheeler that you're supposed to be reliant on this year, they have not been reliable. Zach Wheeler, yeah, but still not better than last year, obviously. Aaron Nola has been a shell of himself. And yes, both those guys are going to start in the playoffs, not saying they're not. But after that, probably Taijuan Walker, Christopher Sanchez will get a consideration there. I know Michael Lorenzen's being moved to the bullpen sooner rather than later, I hope, because I just think that's where he's better suited at this point. But good God, Christopher Sanchez coming out as one of your most consistent pitchers since he's joined this rotation is insane to me. Phillies get a much-needed off day today, so I'm very excited about that. We get to skip a Phillies game today. We all know that the Eagles play tonight, and that'll be our main focus going forward. I think that goes without saying. Most people would agree with that. Everyone would agree with that, of course. So let's get into this Eagles game because I can't take it anymore. I can't go anymore with the Eagles on this. All right, so I showed you guys earlier. This is where we're at when it comes to the injury report with the Eagles. Josh Jobe is the name that jumps out to me. Yesterday, Sean Desai addressed the media where he talked about his confidence level in Josh Jobe stepping in for James Bradbury, who has the concussion, as well as Darius Slay and the idea of shadowing Justin Jefferson again. Remember last year he had a great start against the Minnesota Vikings last year where he basically shut down Justin Jefferson. Can they do it again? We have Sean Desai for you. We're going to get into our chat check a little bit earlier. I also have my 5 things that I'm going to be focusing on the most in this game. And then Adam Caplan will talk to you to end the program. Here is Sean Desai during his press conference 2 days ago talking about his confidence level in Josh Jobe and Darius Slay's role.
Oh, yeah, I'm extremely confident and comfortable and really all the guys that we've prepared out there, and Josh being one of them. He's had a really good camp, and we're looking forward to him doing well. And he did a great job in the situation that he was put in the game, and really he showed kind of his mentality and his approach, which is a thing that we really like about him.
Sean, what's your view on trouting a cornerback to a specific wide receiver?
Yeah, I think we got to do what's best for our matchups and our players, and that gives us the best chance. That doesn't hurt us. We got to make sure it systematically fits, and so we've done it. I've done it in my history, and I think it's a good tool to have when you need it. And then I'm sure we'll do it throughout this season at different spots if and when we need to.
As a follow-up to that, Slay had a pretty good performance against Justin Jefferson last year. I guess as you prepare for that matchup, what did you see on that tape?
Yeah, I thought, obviously he did, and really the whole Eagles defense and the whole team played really well in that game. And so it's a credit to all those guys that were on that field. They really took to dominating their matchups and their one-on-one situations and winning in rush and coverage. And a lot of that stuff is going to carry over, in terms of our philosophy, what we want to do from a front perspective and disrupt things, and from a coverage perspective, win. We always talk about owning that hard hat, and to Slay's credit, he's done a bunch of that grunt work in the back end, and that always helps when you have a guy that wants that hard hat.
Hard hat. Get that hard hat. Go get it. I know it's going to be different as far as their defense goes, but as far as this Eagles defense goes, personnel-wise, it's going to be different. I think we all understand that. I let Darius Slay go out there and eat. I don't hold back. James Bradbury does not affect that decision for me. It affects the decision of what goes on with Josh Jobe, obviously. But it doesn't affect my decision as to what I'm going to do with Darius Slay. I think if I'm Sean Desai, I'm saying, hey, that thing you did last year where he did not hurt us or hurt you guys at that point because he was in Seattle, go out there and do that again. Rinse, repeat. All right, it's a new season. I get it. Do the same thing again. Do the thing that you did that time, week 2 of last year in another primetime game. Do that again in week 2 this year in this primetime game. That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. Please. And Sean Desai, I think, is going to stick with that plan. Let's get to my 5 things that I'm most focused on going into this game. I'm going to work from the bottom up here. I'm going to start it out at number 5. You know what I'm most excited? You know what I can't wait for? It's been a while. This is the home opener. This is the home opener in prime time, baby. It's another home opener prime time game. The nation wants to see your Philadelphia Eagles, ladies and gentlemen. So what I'm excited for tonight, going into tonight's game, I'm so pumped to see the link packed. I just saw on my timeline there that there are already people at Lincoln Financial Field like waiting to get in. Like there's already people just hanging out, waiting to go in. I know I got to go down to Fox 29. They're doing a hit at Xfinity Live. I'm going to have some fun down there with those guys at 7:30. But, oh, my goodness gracious, I already know there's going to be people lined up trying to get for tailgating and trying to get everything going on for the 8:15 kickoff tonight. Philadelphia, I can't wait to see you. Just starting off with that. I can't wait to see you, Philadelphia. That's what I'm excited for. Number 4, Dallas Goedert. After getting shut out in week 1, I think Dallas Goedert has himself a game tonight. I think it's going to be. I think he's catching if you're in the prop bets. I think Dallas Goedert gets you a touchdown tonight. I think when Nick Sirianni addressed the media yesterday, he talked about the flow of a game and how they could just sometimes take a player out and they could zero in and take a read out for a quarterback, and that's what they did more or less with Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert talked about it earlier in the week at his locker. I don't think we're going to see that. It's going to be a similar thing with Brian Flores, who's a disciple of the Bill Belichick defense. So we're going to see a very similar thing to that. But the thing is, he's not Bill Belichick. And I don't think you're going to have 2 games in a row where Dallas Goedert is going to be taken out of the game plan, essentially, or taken away from being a target for Jalen Hurts. So I know that when you listen to Nick Sirianni talk during the week, he talks about how it's the ebbs and flows of a game. Sometimes the game just doesn't flow its way. Like, for instance, Kenny Gainwell getting as many carries as he did in week 1, that was just the flow of the game. They wanted to get DeAndre Swift more touches, but when they did call plays for DeAndre Swift, they were checking out of him at the line of scrimmage because of what they saw defensively, so he didn't get those plays that were originally called for him, so things were changed up. And also, you got to sprinkle in the smattering of RPOs as well that are, well, you know, it was we wanted them to run there, but it ended up being a pass. Okay, fine. So DeAndre Swift obviously is going to have to be a big part of this. Rashad Penny is going to have to be a big part of this after not being a part of it at all. But back to Dallas Goedert. I don't see 2 games in a row where Dallas Goedert isn't a big part of this game plan. And I think the Eagles are going to do something intentional in this game to get Dallas Goedert the football. I think there's going to be more plays called for him. I think Jalen Hurts, after seeing the film and seeing that he missed him, is going to be more intentional about getting his tight end involved. Especially earlier in the season, you want to make sure everyone feels like they're a part of the game plan. And you also want to show just how damn versatile this offense can be. We didn't see that in week 1 against the Patriots. So I think the second thing here, 5-4, this is the fourth, number 4 on the list. Things I'm most looking forward to seeing is Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert and his performance tonight. If you like prop bets, I like Dallas Goedert getting a touchdown. I'm going to take some action on that. Check out MyBookie for all great things like that. Number 3, not looking forward to this part of it, but the third thing I'm going to be looking at in this game and to be focused on is Josh Jobe. Hey, look, what you heard there from Sean Desai, I don't like saying it, but this is definitely an example. What's he going to say? Oh, Josh Jobe, yeah, don't feel good about it. We really wish we had James Bradbury. But he does try to oversell it a bit. I'm extremely confident. Okay, good. Yeah, good for you. I don't like this. And here's what I don't like about it. I don't like Josh Jobe, Sidney Brown, and Terrell Edmonds and Justin Evans being sprinkled in without Reed Blankenship. I don't like the fact that you're already missing the Kobe Dean. I don't like this defense. To me, Darius Slay has to have like his greatest game ever. Like this is going to be a rough one. I feel like with your secondary. And let's flip it the other way. If the Vikings were down 3 starters defensively, how would we be feeling? And then we had Justin Jefferson. We'd be feeling pretty cocky. That's why I don't think this is a low-scoring game. I don't think this is a low-scoring game at all. But going into this game, and you have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and the rookie Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hawkinson, that's good. That's a good receiving core for Kirk Cousins. It's a good receiving core. So I don't feel real good about that. The one thing that makes me feel better about that is the number 1 thing on this list. But I'm going to go to the second thing here. Jalen Hurts versus the Vikings pass defense. Baker Mayfield by no means had a banner day by NFL standards against the Minnesota Vikings defense. He had 2 touchdowns. He had a 94 passer rating, which is I think 5 points above his career passer rating. So by his standards, I guess he had a banner day. So that's good. If they allowed that to Baker Mayfield, what are they going to allow Jalen Hurts to do? And I know it's not always as simple as cut and paste, but let's put it this way. Jalen Hurts had a down game against the Patriots, and the Eagles, of course, only scored 1 offensive touchdown, but they won the game. Just like I don't think Dallas Goedert is not going to be part of the game plan for 2 consecutive games, I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to have 2 consecutive down games. He's a much better quarterback than that. And like the Vikings, he's got weapons. And unlike the Vikings, he's got more weapons than the Vikings. So I think Jalen Hurts is going to have himself a meal. I think this offense is going to – I think we're going to look at this game and look at Jalen Hurts and look at this offense and go, oh, I remember these guys. I remember these Eagles. This is – oh, yeah, I remember that. Okay, this is the team I saw last year. That's the way I think that this Eagles offense is going to look against this Vikings defense. They allowed 20 points, of course, against Baker Mayfield. I know they're facing a good wide receiver in Justin Evans, who, yeah, still's got it, guys, and Chris Godwin. They still got it. So I think you're going to be facing a offense that is more potent than what they just faced against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I look forward to seeing what Jalen Hurts and this Eagles offense does. If Baker Mayfield can have that type of game against his defense, I look forward to seeing what Jalen Hurts can do. And the number 1 thing is screaming from the rooftops, fellas and ladies. This Eagles, I'll call it the front 6. Your defensive line in general, Hassan Reddick and Nolan Smith. They're going to eat. your defensive line, which includes Jalen Carter, and your edge rushers are going to eat in this game. Kirk Cousins was hit 9 times. 9 times he was sacked twice. He fumbled both times he was sacked. He threw an interception, 3 turnovers. Of those 9 quarterback hits, 5 of them came from your outside linebackers against the Buccaneers. And they don't have, I mean, they got some talented guys. No doubt about that. But they don't have Hassan Reddick. And if Nolan Smith was going to have a nice to meet you moment in the NFL, a good one, a positive one, this would be a game to have it. Of the 9 quarterbacks hits, 5 of them came from the outside linebacker position, from an edge rusher position last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Can you imagine? And they don't even have a guy like Jalen Carter in the middle of their line of scrimmage. They don't have a guy like Jalen Carter. They don't have a guy like Fletcher Cox, who is questionable going in this game. But still, they don't have a guy like Jalen Carter in the middle of that defensive line making a push like Jalen Carter can make. So imagine that guy getting through the middle. Imagine Hassan Reddick. Imagine Josh Sweat. Imagine Brandon Graham. Imagine these guys chumming around the edge. Imagine Jordan Davis trying to get that push in the middle as well. Oh, this is going to be a good game. And number 3 on this list, watching that secondary, including Josh Jobe, watching that secondary, my only saving grace of all of this is the fact that I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to have a lot of time to throw the football. Hey, look, Cousins can get rid of that football. Cousins can attack a defense. Cousins can pinpoint accuracy, this, that, and the other. But he's not going to be able to do it if it's on his back. And he's not going to be able to do that if somebody is getting him blindside. He's not going to be able to do that if Jalen Carter's in his face bringing him down. The number one thing I can't wait to see going into tonight is what Jalen Carter and these edge rushers do against Kirk Cousins in this offense. Their whole game plan, especially now that you're not going to have James Bradbury, especially now you're not going to have your starting safety, their whole game plan is going to be about getting rid of the ball quick. That's going to be their whole game plan tonight. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. I don't think this is going to be a blitz-happy game. Not that I thought the Patriots game was, but I definitely saw more blitzing in that game than I did in Jonathan Gannon's strategy. It's one game. It's the smallest sample size you can have. But defensively speaking, the number one thing I'm looking at is just getting after Kirk Cousins, knowing that he's going to try to get rid of the ball quick. I don't think they're going to take guys out of coverage when you need as many guys as possible to be back in coverage. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for that. And you don't see anybody be overly aggressive. I don't think you're going to – you might – hey, with Sidney Brown in there, you might see a safety blitz like you saw from Reed Blankenship in week 1. And that was, as I said on Monday morning, slow developing. It was a slow developing. Very slow. Very, very extremely slow developing safety blitz. So I don't think you're going to see too much of that, but I think you're going to see this defensive line get home, and I think you're going to see your edge rushers get home as well. All in all, my official prediction for this game is Eagles 31, Minnesota Vikings 24. They're not going to blow them out, but they're going to score points, but the Vikings are going to get theirs as well. Maybe there's another defensive touchdown here for the Eagles. But I think the Eagles put up 31 tonight, and I think they cover against the Minnesota Vikings at 6. Looking at the line right now at 6. Kirk Cousins, by the way, in prime time, 11-18 in prime time. And as we know, the Vikings have not had a whole lot of success in Philadelphia as of late. Hey, speaking of lines, speaking of betting and all that fun stuff, don't forget about the great people at MyBookie. As a bettor, you demand perfection, and MyBookie delivers. NFL, college football, brand new cash out system, give you options with options to bet and win all season long. First 2 legs of your parlay hit, cash out early. Place another bet or let it ride for a chance at a bigger payday. Join MyBookie family. Join the MyBookie family for an entire season filled with daily odds boosts, same game parlays, and super contests. This season, MyBookie has no strings attached cash bonus. Lets you deposit and withdraw quick. Use promo code Farzy on a deposit of $50 or more, and you can receive up to $200 in cash instantly from MyBookie account. That's instantly from your MyBookie account. Bet your deposit amount once, and you're ready to withdraw it anytime. Again, promo code Farzy to claim your cash bonus, deposit bonus. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. So bet your deposit amount once, and you're ready to withdraw anytime. Again, that's promo code Farzy to claim your cash deposit bonus. You can bet on anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. So make sure you guys check that out. Let's get into the chat check before we get to Mr. Adam Caplan. See how you wonderful people are doing on this fine morning. Ahead of an Eagles victory, I believe, tonight. Whoa, you guys are popping tonight. Hello, Jacob Media Sports Channel. I'll jump over to Farzy Show Sports Channel, see what's going on here. Sean Kilray, good morning. IBH, good morning. It's T-Bro. What's up, T-Bro? Let's go. Game day. Mutter Truckers. Go Birds. How about that Calavante guy? Am I saying that right? Guy that was on the run for like 2 weeks from the feds. I was watching the footage of him being arrested, him being apprehended, and I was looking and I was like, is that a... Yep. That is a Eagles hoodie. Go Birds? Anyway, glad he's caught. Hope seeing the Braves celebrate on our field motivated the team. That ish sucked to watch, says April. April! Morning, April. That did suck. That sucked big time. And here's the thing. I'm doing Fightins postgame on Jacob Media last night, and I'm doing the show, blah, 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 right? I'm in brilliance, uttering brilliance. I played clips of pasta grannies. I couldn't take it, so I literally just played clips of this old Italian lady just be like, I'm making a meatball. But anyway, I did it several times, probably to the point where it was annoying, but it was my own self-help, and people seem to enjoy it. Anyway, so I'm watching it last night, and I'm doing the show last night, and I get a little notification, ESPN on my phone, so I just look over it real quick to see if there was anything to do with the game, and by golly, it was. It was Ronald Acuna Jr. making ESPN by egging on Philadelphia fans to boo more that they just won the division on their field. Cool. Now the nation got to see it. So, yeah, that did suck. Most entertaining part about baseball. What is the most entertaining part about baseball? The Braves? Oh, you're asking me what's the most entertaining thing about baseball? That I just like baseball? Ooh. I mean, I think the most, I don't know. I just really like baseball. Kurt, not good in prime time. Absolutely, Sean. Sean Kilrain, what's going on? Sean Gillespie, good morning to you. Travis Rickland. The area we sucked at covering has injuries. Linebackers and safeties. Shake my head, Howie. Wake up. Howie! I would go out and sign Anthony Barr. All right. I'm not against that. Machine Evans, is that who they just brought in? Yeah. Key will be the rush up front. If Cousins has time, Vikings receivers can get open. Absolutely. John Cheeseborough. Happy football season to you again, sir. Good morning, Farzy and Society. Happy game day. Happy game day. Travis says, everyone else is going to throw in the middle of our defense with their eyes closed all year. That is interesting. John Cheeseborough, wouldn't be surprised if Keely Ringo sees some time at safety, get him on the field. It's possible. I'd like to see Sidney Brown get some snaps defensively sooner rather than later. Eagles D-line, hopefully actually use Goddard. I'd like to see Goddard. Sean Kilroy, just like Farzy said tonight, Goddard won't be an invisible man. Tonight he's definitely finding pay dirt. I concur. John Cheeseborough, the offense needs to come out and get a rhythm early. The link is going to be loud, so they'll need to get it going early. Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift established. I'm very curious to see how this works out. There's a little theory out there that the Eagles were intentionally spelling DeAndre Swift to get him ready for this game. I don't think they focus on – I don't think they do that. I think they try to win every game individually, even if there is a short week. I don't think they were using Gainwell as much as they did in week 1 simply to have somebody else ready for week 2, Thursday night. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I know there's a theory out there like, oh, that's why they're riding Gainwell so much now is because they want DeAndre Swift's the real number one. It's like people are really in denial that Kenny Gainwell was the better running back. DeAndre Swift, go out there and prove those people right tonight. As far as I'm concerned, go prove them right. John Cheeseborough, the Vikings may try to duplicate getting the ball out in 3 seconds like the Patriots did on Sunday, but I don't think it'll work. I think their offensive line is going to be Swiss cheese. Adam Caplan will talk about that in a second with us. I want Carter to bully the offensive line, as do I. Sean goes, the Eagles just need to play with some spirit. Don't really care about making some kind of statement game. Yeah, just win. Just win. Have another win like he did against the Patriots. That's why I'm going 31-24, because it's close enough to give us something to bitch about the next day, but they still win. Travis, not exactly true. The Patriots did a good job of getting the ball out before the pass rush could get there. Minnesota does not have the same ability. I think their offensive line is not good. All right, but Kirk Cousins can still get rid of the ball quick. It's certainly not going to be as easy for them to do it as it was for the Patriots. So I agree with that. But yeah. April, if you don't already watch Nona Pia, she does some great cooking videos. Makes me think of my Nona. Oh, I just want my Vikings friends to be sad tomorrow. April, you are ruthless. April's ruthless. Flip it over to the Jacob Media Sports. Ray Lewis will come out of retirement and be our starting linebacker. There you go. Thank you, Sammy Livingston. I appreciate it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to jump to our guest. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to head over to Fox. So if you want bonus me today, 7:50 or 7:30 start time with the great people at Fox 29. So I'll be hopping over there. But to take you into the end of the show, Jim Hyden, our illustrious producer, has a interview with our friend Adam Caplan from Inside the Birds podcast standing by. Here's what Adam Caplan breaks down. Again, I'm going to reference this one more time. We did this interview before the injury report came out. So Adam even referenced at the time of the interview, we're still waiting for the official injury report to come out. So he gives you his thoughts on how the Eagles are going to do if they don't have Reed Blankenship, which they don't. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is the Farzy Show, everyone. Without further ado, here's our friend Adam Caplan. Making a wonderful return to the Farzy Show from Inside the Birds podcast and about a billion other things as well. Adam Caplan joins the show. What's going on, Adam?
Mark, good to be with you as we're getting close to kickoff here. Yeah, it's week 2, man. Week 2 is here. This NFL season starts rolling along.
Yeah, I listened to Dick Sirianni earlier at the time we aired this, earlier yesterday, I should say. And he was talking about how it's almost a benefit to have a game on Thursday night this early in the season. Do you buy into that because of wear and tear? He pointed out wear and tear. Yeah. Easy to recover now when you have the rest of the season and all that stuff, a little bit of a longer layover there. Do you buy into that philosophy?
Sure. I mean, of course, you'd rather choose now than week 15 when you're exhausted. That's one of the big reasons why the Eagles over the past few seasons have been relatively uninjured, and they had all 22 stars in the Super Bowl, is because they don't practice very much, and they've found a way through sports science, which I do believe works. Anybody can get hurt at any time. We know that, but they've had a lot of good luck on their side, and they do it differently than most other teams. They just don't practice very much, and they don't practice their veterans very much. And if you had a choice of having this type of schedule, you like to have it now before they're worn down. They're much more worn down late in the season, but also with sports science, Mark, players will tell you, as they've told me over the years, they feel fairly fresh as fresh as you're going to be late in the season. But the fact of the matter is, again, to sum this up here, certainly if you had your choice, you'd rather do it now. I would agree with that.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Next up, let's talk about the injuries that the Eagles do have right now. Reed Blankenship, Kenny Gainwell, long-term, a guy like Nakobe Dean. Where do you think the Eagles are right now on the injury front? How serious are these injuries?
Yeah. So with Dean, we'd report on Inside the Birds. We were told it's a sprained foot. Mosher said it was 4 weeks he had hurt, and they put him on IR, which means you have to miss at least 4 games. So he'll miss at least that. Hopefully, when they get to the 5th game, he'll be okay. We'll see. But look, they're not good linebacker to begin with. This situation makes them super thin at that position, and they're just going to have to get through it. Blankenship's, it was a really odd one with his rib injury. He came right back after leaving for a play. It looked like by video he got kicked or something where he got friendly fire with something into his chest. We'll see what happens. We'll see how they list him. But the fact of the matter is that shouldn't be too bad. And then Gainwell, look, he got way too much work. They didn't work in, for some odd reason, they didn't work DeAndre Swift in, which was a mistake. Boston Scott, they didn't either. We've outlined, Mark, for 3 years how much this staff loves Kenny Gainwell, and that's fine. but he's not an every down back. They need to work another back or two in there, and that needs to happen on Thursday night.
So does Rashad Penny obviously get called up there? Well, first of all, do you expect Gainwell? He has to. Okay. Do you expect Gainwell or Blankenship to play on Thursday? As we're speaking here now, we don't even have their injury report yet, so I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, neither injury is serious, to answer your question. But I'm always concerned with injuries and running backs. I would be shocked if Rashad Penny's not active for this game. He should have played anyway. You need Penny's size at that position at running back. It's kind of like, why did you sign the guy? And I get it, what Sirianni said on Monday. You typically only have 3 backs up. It's rare that you have 4 usually for special teams, if one guy's only special teams. But nevertheless, Penny is an explosive back. He's also the back with the most size, and he should have been up.
Okay. So I've heard that the Eagles just weren't that impressed with his training camp and preseason, whatever. Have you heard otherwise, that he could still
be I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I know that narrative's out there, but that's not what I was told. So it's just that Scott plays special teams, Penny does not. Swift has a specific role, and Gainwell's their grinder. But my point was, okay, but Penny's bigger physically. Why can't they share first and second down carries? That was my point. I don't quite understand Sirianni's thought process there. Now, because as we said on Inside the Birds this week, Kentavious Street played very, very little. He didn't play on special teams. So did you really need 6 defensive tackles up for that game? Why not, where you struggled to move the football with explosive plays, Mark? The big issue against New England was the lack of explosive plays. And clearly, Penny should have played, but we'll see what happens.
All right. I am seeing all the takes out there after one game, and it's a short turnaround, so I'm glad we get to turn the page quickly. But all the takes are out there regarding Jalen Hurts. They're going to depend on him more in the passing game, and he didn't rise to the occasion against the Patriots. The Eagles, are you worried about the offensive and defensive coordinators after one game? It's like people are really, really jumping to conclusions after week 1 against New England on the road, and obviously starters didn't play in the preseason. Where are you at when it comes to legitimate concerns for this Eagles team going forward into week 2?
Yeah, Mark, I would look at it this way. We called it right on Inside the Birds. We said it would be a bad, choppy game. It was. We both gave odd scores. The Eagles also had – the game was 25-20, which is weird enough to have 25 points. We just thought it would not be a good game for them offensively. It wasn't. It was choppy. It was sloppy, as Brian Johnson called. I don't think Brian Johnson had a great game. We've seen people saying he's in over his head. We said before the game, Belichick is the hardest to prepare for in NFL history as a defensive coordinator. That's what happened. It's week 1. That's just the way it is. Now, if against Minnesota he's like this, then I have a problem, because this matchup is way better. I know that Brian Flores is running his version of Belichick's scheme, but it's only their second week running it. He's not going to be getting it this early. They're not going to be great this early. They're playing the Vikings at the right time. And Garrett Bradbury, by the way, their starting center's out for Minnesota, so the offensive line's banged up. A lot of the positiveness of what's going on both sides of the ball for both teams, a lot of it points very well for the Eagles bouncing back offensively, in particular this week.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, when it comes to the coordinators, would you say that Brian Johnson had more struggles than Sean Desai in week 1 and has to bounce back from that?
Yeah, I think it's fair. Yeah, I think it's accurate. Yeah, but again, it's week 1, and it was exactly what I thought would happen. I thought the offense would not do well. It didn't. They only had 18 offensive points, and quite frankly, without Jake Elliott, I'm sure they would have lost. Jake Elliott was incredible. Look, you'd rather him not have to kick so many field goals. He was great. And look, the first half, I get the rain. It was bad for both sides. But the execution was poor. The lack of usage of Swift in the pass game was not smart. That was bad. They had some offensive line protection issues. It just was not a good offensive performance. But Sirianni's a terrific coach, and I expect him to bounce back this week.
On an optimistic note, how optimistic should I be about the Eagles' pass rush against that Minnesota Vikings offensive line?
Yeah, very well. I think they'll do very well. I'd be stunned if they don't pressure Kirk Cousins. You saw what happened last year on that Monday night game in week 2. Strangely, it's here in Philly, Thursday Night Football. Yeah, I don't expect him to struggle at all. I think they'll get to him, and he's not very mobile, by the way. He'll scramble and inside the 5. Sometimes he runs, but remember now, no Dalvin Cook. So they're going to have trouble moving the football. Now, Justin Jefferson, it's not going to be easy. I know they did a great job against him last year. But with James Bradbury and his injury, you're going to have Josh Jobe in there. We'll see how he holds up.
Yeah, and what's your confidence level in Josh Jobe and how the Eagles are going to defend against Justin?
Yeah, look, this is his first ever NFL start. Not a fast guy. There's some character concerns with him. Is the reason why I was told that he wasn't drafted last year. But you know what? He's answered the bell. He's done a great job so far. And here we go. First ever NFL start. The depth is severely tested. We'll have to see. They're going to go at him. Kevin O'Connell's a good play caller, their head coach, and I'm sure they'll go at him. We'll see how he holds up.
Jalen Carter, hype train. I am all aboard that. It's everything I needed to see from Jalen Carter in week 1. How about you?
Yeah, he's great. Everything off the field so far we've heard is good. So, because you know that's why so many teams passed on him in the top 10, and so many teams would have passed on him had he not gone the Eagles. So, bottom line is, so far so good. He was dominant. It wasn't just a couple flash plays, which fans get carried away with. It was actually the entire game. He brought it. No team in the National Football League has better depth than the Eagles. They're legit 6 deep. Because Marlon Tuipulotu has been hurt a lot in his career. Is healthy. He had a good camp. So he's going to contribute as a backup nose. Jordan Davis looks better than he did last season. Milton Williams started at end the last game. He's a good football player. So things are going on here, Mark. They're D-line. They got it going on here, and I expect them to do very well in this game.
I want to move to the edge rusher position, especially a guy like Hassan Reddick, the outside linebacker, whatever you want to call it. Man, one thing about watching that Minnesota Vikings game is the outside linebackers, they were getting in the backfield left and right. It wasn't just because of the defensive line. It was what they're doing at the linebacker position. So if you add those things up, could this be another big game, a breakout game, week 2 here for Hassan Reddick to, as they like to say, announce his presence with authority?
Sure. Yeah, no doubt. Now the thing with Reddick is he did get by the tackles. The problem is he's got his hand wrapped, that surgically repaired right thumb. Mm-hmm. So it's just an adjustment. He's not had to play like this before. So this is being adjustment. The great thing is without Garrett Bradbury, if you're an Eagles fan, and obviously if you're watching, you probably are, without Bradbury, they're going to go with Austin Schlottman, I believe, is sort of a journeyman backup guard center. He's a downgrade. They're not very good on the offensive line. Darisol's hurt, their left tackle. So they're off. Their defensive line should eat in this game. I'm expecting them to dominate, to be honest with you.
Sounds fantastic. One more thing about the offense. Dallas Goedert getting the one target, and it was overthrown, and then he wasn't even seen when he was wide open.
Sure.
Do you, from your experience around the NFL, is this something that they're going to make it a point to get him the football, big part of the game plan early, get him involved, or is this something that, like Nick Sirianni said in his press conference, is going to be something that you just have to wait for the flow of the game?
Look, there were some missed passes the fans saw in the fourth quarter, no doubt, where Hurts wanted to throw a home run ball, and it just wasn't there. He made a mistake. But, yeah, look, we saw this last year with Devontae Smith where he didn't catch a pass, which is crazy in that Detroit game where the points were crazy indoors at Ford Field. But I expect it. They're not very good in the back end. Harrison Smith, who the Eagles picked on in 2017, 6 years ago in the Super Bowl, he's still there. They should do well, and I expect Goddard to bounce back. And, look, this is going to be an ongoing challenge for these coaches. It's a good problem to have. You've got Brown and Smith, and Goddard have to get the football. And Swift in the pass game, we should get the football. He was tremendous in training camp. I'm really looking forward to seeing Brian Johnson, by the way, back really rebound in this game where I don't think he coached real well. But I know the fans are on him. He's not in over his head. Give him time here, folks. It's only one game.
I know I always ask you a basketball question, and
sure.
I know you're up against it when you have some other obligations. But last thing, James Harden. I'll give you an opportunity to not talk football for 30 seconds. James Harden, you want him staying? You want him out? Where are you at with the James Harden sweepstakes?
The problem is this didn't happen during the early part of free agency, so they're kind of stuck. I'd bring him back. He's going to want to ball out. I mean, he has no leverage here. The Sixers have to live with this situation, Mark, to be honest with you. They caused it. Well, I'd say this much. There's obviously a bad miscommunication between the general manager, Daryl Morey, and the player, and it's ugly. The Sixers fans have put up with this crap for years with the issues that the front office and players have had with each other. We don't need this anymore. As a Sixers fan, I'm kind of sick and tired of it. I like Morey a lot, but I know he doesn't want to give him away, and unfortunately, the teams know that he doesn't play good defense. You saw the up and down nature of the Boston game, the Boston series, where he was brilliant and then he was terrible. So who knows? I mean, he's got maybe 2 years left in him. I just feel so bad for Embiid. He deserves much better, and hopefully he gets that.
I'm with you. Adam Caplan, Inside the Birds podcast. Check him out, of course, on Twitter or X as well. Adam, thanks so much, brother.
You got it, man. Thanks.